Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining me again. Now, I'm not a great watcher of TV, but one of the sorts of film that I do love are those time lapse films where you see something that normally happens over a much longer period of time happen quickly before your eyes. So, something like a seed beginning to sprout and watching the way that the roots go down and then the shoots go up. Or maybe pictures of a particular place, like a tree or a woodland, that are taken across a whole year, and you can watch the seasons move through the whole year in a matter of minutes. But one of my favourites is watching what happens or what can happen when rain falls in a desert. You've probably seen the sort of thing. You start with a wilderness that's bare sand and rock, maybe old stunted trees or a cactus, and then the rain starts to fall. Streams begin to flow where there were none before and sometimes turn into torrential rivers. And then the rain becomes more gentle and the sun comes out and things begin to grow. And we watch as before our very eyes, plants that we had no idea were hiding in the seemingly barren soil of the desert begin to sprout and blossom. And before long, that wilderness is transformed. Every time you see it happen, it's amazing. But once you've seen it happen, even when you see the wilderness in its bare and barren state, your previous experience tells you that something amazing will happen when it rains. A friend of mine asked a question on Facebook this morning. It simply said, "How are you doing?" And there are, of course, on that post a range of answers, not surprisingly. Some people are desperately trying to fit into the next few days the things that they don't want to go into lockdown leaving undone. Some people are fearful. Some are just fed up. I haven't seen anyone yet who's looking forward to it. But another post from a friend today made me think about it slightly differently. This post was just a message which said, "Don't be afraid to start over again. This time you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience." I like this. And it made me think back to the things that were part of my experience in the last lockdown. So I spent lots of time in my garden and very often took some of you with me, virtually anyway. I read some of the things that have been on my "I must get around to reading that one day" pile for quite some time. I did a live streamed thought for the day on Facebook, something that I wouldn't have imagined myself doing until I did it. And I confess that I connected with some people via Zoom more deeply than I ever had with them in person. And it was good. There's also a lot around on the internet today about how this lockdown is going to be harder because it's not summer. And I do see the reasoning behind that statement. We tend to feel better, most of us, when the sun is shining, better than we do when it's grey and dark and rainy like it is today. But as I planted onions in the rain today, I thought, do you know, this is still fun. It's different from lockdown in the summer, certainly, but being here is still fun. There's a bit in the Bible where God's talking to an Old Testament prophet called Isaiah, and God says, "Forget the former things, don't dwell on the past. See, I'm doing a new thing. Now it springs up, don't you see it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." I love this. It reminds me so much of that picture of life bursting from the dry and dusty desert, life where maybe some people would think it couldn't be. So, heading back into lockdown, my prayer for all of us is that we try not to dwell on what lockdown in the summer was like, especially if it was good for us. I pray that we will find the new things that we're supposed to do with this next month, that we will find things that are good, maybe even God in this situation. And that, like the desert, maybe something new and beautiful might come to flower in us. So, as ever, I'm going to finish with a prayer. This is a prayer that was written by a guy called James Dillett Freeman, And it has the distinction of being the prayer that astronaut Buzz Aldrin took with him in his pocket on the Apollo 11 mission to the moon. So here's a prayer for all of us this evening. May the light of God surround us, the love of God enfold us, the power of God protect us, and the presence of God watch over us, because wherever we are, God is. Amen. Thank you for joining me. I have a feeling that I may see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.